Hey gang, what's up? Hope everybody's having a good day out there today, and welcome back here to a late night in the tackle room, man. It's we got a 4th of July little get together here, and I got an on the water lesson tomorrow, so it's about midnight out here doing the video for tomorrow. And what I want to do today, guys, is I want to go into detail. I want to tell you guys about the first Bassmaster tournament I ever fished that started my career out. I want to do this a lot. I get a lot of questions, a lot of people asking about, telling some old stories. And this is one that definitely has a lot of memories for me because it's started my career out, and it was an extremely memorable tournament. I think you guys will like hearing about it. And actually, I found the old standings from this particular tournament. It was the New York Invitational at the St. Lawrence River in September of 1985. Sort of go down the list. I'll read some names. You guys will get a blast from the past on that. So we're going to get into that. So real quick, guys, just wanted to give you all the week to remind me. You guys hear me talking about it a lot. Please check out our Fish the Moment summer lake map breakdowns. We got all of our breakdowns up for summer right now. This is a great resource to learn more about your favorite lake. And if you're looking for a lake that's not on our website, you can book a virtual lesson with me. So I'll put both of those links in the description. It's a really good way to support the channel here. So much appreciated. Okay, guys, if you've been with the channel for a while, you've heard me talk about this a little bit. I've told the story about Hank Parker, but I'm going to go through this entire tournament, how it happened, how it set up, how it evolved and everything, and how this one tournament was really pivotal for me for jump-starting my career. Now, what had happened is I had spent 3 or 4 years saving up enough money to fish my first year on the Bassmaster tournament circuit. Now, back in 1985, this was all there was. Bass had 6 tournaments. They called them the Bassmaster Invitationals, and they took the top 35 to the Bassmaster Classic out of there. That's the only pro tournaments there were in the country. And all I wanted to do was be a pro fisherman. Ever since I was in high school, so I spent 3 years, working odd jobs. I was still in school, mowing lawns. I bust tables. I washed cars at a car dealership. Excuse me, I got these allergies. To save up enough money, and I saved up over the course of those 3 years. I saved up $3,000 and another $3,000 that was $3,600 entry fee per tournament, 6 tournaments, so $3,600 for my entry. So I had my entry money paid, and then I had $3,000 in expense money. I was still living at home. I was 23 years old, so I didn't have any expenses other than that. And at the time, I had a deal with Ranger Boats. I had a Ranger 340 boat at the time. I qualified for the BFL All-American the year before and got on with Ranger, so that gave me a start there. So anyway, this tournament, I'd never been outside of the 4-state area where I lived here. I hadn't pulled my boat over 100 miles away from the house my entire life. So I had a little four-cylinder Nissan pickup, and I pulled it all the way to Catskill, New York, with that 4-cylinder. And man, when you go up hills with that thing, I'd have to put it in second gear. It was a manual transmission, little 4-cylinder wrapped out on there. So got up there with that and everything, and I just super excited. I couldn't even hardly wait to get up there and seeing the country. I'd never seen any of the country before, so still young and full of the vigor of life, heading up there, 23 years old, and just super excited about it. So I get up there, and I don't know anything about the St. Lawrence River. And back then, there wasn't any information, guys. You couldn't make phone calls, or there's no internet. There was nothing out there. I didn't know anything about the place. The only thing I knew about the place was I'd contacted a tackle store up there about a month before, and I had them mail me a map of the St. Lawrence River. So that's the only thing I had. And when I saw this map, if you guys have ever fished the St. Lawrence River out of Catskill, New York, the river is pretty complex. There's tons of islands in it. There's shoals everywhere. There was a lot to it, and I didn't know. I'd never seen any of that. I grew up fishing Table Rock and Grand Lake, so all these offshore shoals with clear water, I'd never seen it. So I get out there and start fishing, and I couldn't catch anything. I mean, for the first practice day and the second practice day, for whatever reason, I went out there and there's a bunch of those canned buoys out on the river to mark the river channel, and they're attached to the bottom by a big chain. So I pulled up to one of them and I cast a tube out there and let it sink down 3 or 4 feet and started reeling it in because, you know, I catch them on bridge piers back home, and I caught a nice smallmouth. Threw out there again and caught another nice smallmouth. And I started running this pattern of fishing these buoys all over the river, and like every buoy had a school of fish on it. It was like unbelievable. They weren't big ones, but they were nice, you know, nice sized smallmouth, you know, 2 3/4 pounders, which back then was really good because the St. Lawrence back then, it only took, you know, 14, 15, 16 pounds a day to win tournaments back then. It's not like it is now. So anyway, that was my pattern. First day of the tournament, my very first draw that I had was Hank Parker. And, you know, Hank was at the top of his game then. I couldn't believe it that I drew Hank Parker. We talked a little bit about it that night, and I told him what I was doing. He told me what he was doing. And he said he was struggling, which I couldn't believe Hank Parker was struggling. And he goes to me, he goes, okay, Randy, why don't we do this? Why don't we go to your fish? And he had a Ranger 350, which was a 17-foot, 10-inch boat, and my 340 was 1610. He goes, why don't we go to your fish? You can drive my boat. We'll take my boat because it's a bigger boat. You can drive it, and we'll go fishing. I couldn't believe he wanted me to let me drive his boat. So I met him at the hotel the next morning, and we got rigged up and got driving to the lake and everything. And I'm sitting there in Hank's boat in the middle of everybody floating around me. You know, I look over and there's Roland Martin and Rick Clunn, guys I've read about, and I've never talked to them in my life. And I'm sitting in Hank Parker's boat ready for my first day of competition. And anyway, to make a long story short, we get out there and my buoy pattern worked. We both caught limits of smallmouth and had a decent day. We didn't have like a great day weight wise, but we were still, I think, in the middle of the pack somewhere. So the second day of the tournament, so I'm like in the middle of the pack. There's like 80 guys in the tournament. So I had a limit, but I wasn't way up there. The second day of the tournament, I drew an angler called Randall Romig. And Randall Romig was another awesome fisherman. You guys that have fished very long have heard of him. He's made tons of classics. And Randall had a pretty good first day, and he said he was fishing a jig for largemouth. And he had like 16 or 17 pounds. He had a really good bag. So I said, well, yeah, man, I'll be happy to go with you. So we went to Randall's fish, and I stayed in the back of the boat, and we were not really pitching and flipping, but sort of casting jigs into potholes in the grass. And the second day, I caught the biggest stringer of the tournament that second day. I caught almost 20 pounds or 18 something, excuse me, that second day. Biggest stringer of the day, I can't remember if it was the biggest stringer of the tournament, but anyway, it was 18, almost 19 pounds of largemouth, and it moved me up to the top 10 in the tournament. So here it is, my very first Bassmaster tournament. I think I'm looking at the thing here, I'm in 6th place after the second day of the tournament. Moved up to 6th. By the way, before I get into this, let me read you some of these names off the top 40 in the sheet here. This is after the second day. Woo Days, Walter Bolt, who's a local, Dick Garlock, who's a local, Roland Martin, Mickey Bruce, me, Cliff Craft, Shaw Grigsby, Jimmy Houston, Denny Brower, Harold Allen, Wayne Azumi, Chet Doutheth, Larry Nixon, Tommy Biffle, Rob Kilby, Rick Clunn, Charlie Reed, Randall Romig, Orlando Wilson, Zell Rowland, George Cochran, Jerry Ryan, Stephen Mitchell, classic champion 1982, Hank Parker, Ken Cook, Guido Hibden, Randy Behringer. That's some freaking hammers there, man. So anyway, I was moved up to 6th place going into the last day, and I'm sitting here saying, God, I got a chance to win my first Bassmaster, my first tournament. And the last day of the tournament is when we had that hurricane. One of the hurricanes came in there. I can't remember what it was. And it was predicted to blow like 30 miles an hour. And I knew I couldn't fish that buoy pattern because those buoys were right out on the main river. So I drew this one guy. I can't even remember who it was, but he'd been doing pretty good in the tournament, and he was catching them out in Lake Ontario on a spinnerbait and a jerkbait. And I said, well, let's go, man. I'll go with you because I don't really think mine will work out. And we got out there and it was just giant waves, and we wound up, neither one of us did any good. I think I caught 2 or 3, and I think I wound up finishing 18th or something in the tournament, which was great because it really propelled me. And I went on and I qualified for the Bassmasters Classic that year, my rookie year. But and driving back from that tournament, you know, just having a great tournament for the first one, it was just a great experience, just a really good way to start a career out. So anyway, guys, that's the story of my first tournament. That's what started it all. That tournament right here is why I'm sitting here doing these videos. Honestly, guys, if I wouldn't have caught that 18 or 19 pounds the second day with Randall Romig, I probably wouldn't be sitting right here because I wouldn't have made the Bassmasters Classic. I made the Classic that year by just ounces. That second day made my career. I didn't have any money to keep going. I was fortunate enough. I made the money in 5 out of the 6 tournaments that year, and it kept me going as far as financially. I didn't have any safety net at all. I didn't have any money. I didn't have rich parents. If I didn't do it, I wasn't going to do it. So for whatever reason, that's one of the wondrous mysteries of the universe we have here, and the power of intention and desire and passion, that you have events like that gravitate into your life. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll talk later.